Welcome to another exciting episode of the Epic Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Brad Sugars, the Chairman and CEO of Actioncoach, and today we're diving into the minds of some incredible business leaders, uncovering their real stories, strategies, and the secrets behind their victories. It's not just about success, it's about the journey, the hurdles, and turning challenges into opportunities. So let's jump right into it.
Welcome to the Epic Entrepreneur Podcast, the go-to spot for insights from the successful players in the business world. Today, I am excited to welcome Dr. Janice Simmonds-Fisher, the founder of Bioregeneration Integrated Medical Center. Janice, welcome, and it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Simac. It really is my absolute pleasure to share with you and your audience today.
Fantastic. With that, Janice, let's dive into the top 3 things you did that made you successful in business and how others can follow in your footsteps.
Thank you for that question. The real truth is there were so many things, and it's pretty hard to choose 3, but I'm going to start with coaching because I believe that coaching brings a whole umbrella of things. It brings focus, it brings planning, it gives you the tools to execute, and most of all, there's accountability. And it's almost like bringing in a whole team of A players because behind each coach is a trusted and tested system. So I definitely would say to all professionals, we know when to refer to the specialists. The next thing, I like to call it failing fast. And
Okay.
it's the ability to fail and take the lessons, pivot, twist, make the most out of the situation that you have, learn from it. But if you want to continue in business, recovery has to be part of the conversation. And whether you call it resilience, persistence, but we're going to fail and not everything that we try will be as successful as we want. And the idea is that once you've learned from it, because honestly, there are some failures that are so devastating that it takes a while. But the idea is that we have to learn, we have to pick up ourselves, we have to take the learning, and then we have to make better next time. Can also say that for me, I call it being focused on the needs of my patients. But the entrepreneur is at the soul of the business. So if you get up from a state of gratitude and you're a wellspring from which people can sort of feel your passion and understand that you care. And if you really love what you do, you love your craft, if you love the people that you serve, I just think it makes it easier. And there is a whole cliche statement that says that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think as entrepreneurs, if you're working from a place of passion, from gratitude, from a place where you care about the services that you offer, it would really make it easier to continue and to do well and to do the hard work that's necessary. Yeah,
Excellent.
I think coaching, staying focused on their needs, and failing fast is what I would say for that.
All right. So let's go to the first point when you mentioned coaching. And one of the key things you mentioned out there is accountability. What is the reason for accountability?
Because I think I'm always sort of a good visionary and I'm not always the one to carry out everything. I will, especially working on the business was new to me. I was just grinding away, seeing patients, and I wasn't building out a business. I didn't have systems. I didn't have a lot of the financial mastery that was needed to take my business to the next level. So I got those tools from my coach. I have an amazing coach, Marcia Wunshai, and it's just an absolute pleasure to learn from her. But I think I was now accountable to getting things done on the business. And I had the tools because I didn't know how to do half of what was required. I was trained as a physician. I didn't have business skills, which initially didn't occur to me. I was here trying to have a practice and I was just using all my medicine and I really wasn't, I was spending all day long, 6 days a week seeing patients. I didn't have financial mastery, destination mastery. I didn't have the systems and tools so that it could run without me. And I wasn't maximizing the equipment, the resources, the technology that was at hand. So I believe coaching, what I can tell you now is that I had a business before coaching and after coaching, and they look nothing the same. When I introduced our coach to our team when we did our staff alignment last year, I actually said to the team that under Marcia Wunshaw's coaching, we were able to fix our bottom line.
Wow.
It's because we had a lot of potential, we had a lot of growth. We really weren't tapping into a lot of the opportunities that were available. And even where we saw it, we didn't know how to really strategize and go forward. So coaching was single-handedly just one of the most important things. And I would say that for all professionals, physicians, engineers, lawyers, doesn't matter. We are skilled at a craft, and if we are neurosurgeons, it doesn't allow us to do to do heart surgery, because, we have to recognize that business comes with its own set of skills, and we really have to upskill if we're going to also be entrepreneurs. So definitely coaching.
Okay, brilliant. So, and that also has got a fundamental change you mentioned in your staff, not only yourself. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because at some point it becomes nation building. We were able to grow from a team of 2 to a team of 10, to moving to a bigger facility, to expand into new markets, introduce new products that align with what we are offering our patients. So we give them more options to get better. And I think as we grow, others around us were able to grow. We were able to offer more opportunities, and we're able to see that not just in Kingston, but across the diaspora, in a lot of the talks that we do, in a lot of the social outreach that we do. We've been able to sponsor basic schools and to really offer more employment, but to also build the economy that we serve. And I think on a much wider scale, we're able to look at how can we grow and improve our country. And I think that's what growing your business can do, not just for yourself, for your family, but for others and for the communities that you serve, both locally, regionally. So I'm happy that I was able to get the tools to be able to serve in that way. Yeah.
Brilliant. And talk to me when you said it's, your business grew 30x when you got your coach in. What did that mean to you personally? And also, I believe you have a daughter too, so.
Yes, I have actually a daughter and a son, but at the time when I started coaching in 2019, my daughter was about to go off to college overseas. And my only wish was to be profitable, so I didn't have to tie her with student loans the way I had. And it was one of my whys, why I have to do this right, why I have to manage better, why I have to get better at the business part. Because here I was, doing all of these medical conferences and training, and I had not focused on doing business conferences and spending on business training. But I was able to grow the business. I was able to see my daughter through college. She's now in grad school after 6 years. She's out of her first degree and her second degree and doing her PhD. But it's at a place where we were able to do it, thank God, without the student loans, because I worked on doing it. And as you get your why clearer, the business serves your life, it serves your passions, it serves the methods that you want to give back. And I was able to help other family members. Once she was, not doing her first degree, then, I could turn to nieces and nephews, because the business was at a place that, we could help and we could assist. And for me, that was profound, because when I look back on my initial notes and I said, this is all I want, I just want, because there was one day I just wanted to be profitable.
Right.
And then another time it was, okay, can I be able to buy this equipment? And then the Holy Grail was not going to need a loan for her. So that was very important for me. It was something very important to my heart and to my family. And for us, it was kind of building generational wealth, so she would start at a better place when she's finished with her studies.
Excellent. Okay, brilliant. So, and what would it mean if today you never had that coach? I mean, how would your business be operating today? Because you said you had a business in the past and now you have a business with.
Because I've been around at least 18 years and I've been in coaching 6. And I felt like I was at grade 4 over and over. You're not really growing profits. You're not really expanding the team. You're not getting anywhere further. it's a little disenchanting. You get a little frustrated. And entrepreneurs know that we leave the 8-hour work shift to work 16 hours. So when you're doing more and you're not getting more, it really feels like, it's not like you're failing, but it's frustrating, and it would be a reason to just stop, probably go back to a hospital, or to really, find alternative means of not just supporting your family, but finding fulfillment. Because a lot of the things that we were able to bring in created a lot of job satisfaction, because our patients were getting better and we were finding more cost-effective methods of helping them get better. So I think I would be really definitely more in debt, just more frustrated, less job satisfaction, and just feeling like going through the same mundane task over and over and really not seeing where I'm going. And just, we were so hungry for growth. We were so happy for the tools. I think the business without coaching would be a smaller business, a business that serves less of the world and really has less to offer the community. And a business without coaching would have had me, I would say, less time for myself,
Right.
because I've been able to hire others to support me. I have more family time, I have more travel time, I have more learning time and the things that I want. So less freedom. Yeah, that's scary to imagine, actually.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty happy that I went in coaching. It's non-negotiable for me. I've encouraged a lot of people, colleagues especially. And, sometimes we hear, because, especially during COVID, a lot of people wanted to drop because we were all,
Right.
operating with less clients and less patients as we were in lockdown. And I said, more than ever, this is a crisis. This is when we need coaching. But for me, it's like having, a manager or somebody that was really well out of my, let's say, mindset, who was thinking so big and well out of, and who had conquered everything that I wanted to conquer, to move from a small business to a medium business, and to have that person personally mentor me. And then having that person having Brad and other coaches mentoring them just meant this whole tier of support that I knew that was critical to my business's success. It was non-negotiable. Even if I didn't have one patient to see, I knew I would be doing my coaching. I knew that we survived a lot of the lockdowns because we were pivoting, we were planning, we were strategizing, and then we went through, and then when they opened up, we were ready because of coaching. And so coaching was I can't say enough. And as you know, I have an amazing coach that I admire and who has helped me not just in business skills, because I've always said that it was the leadership training, it was all of the masterminds that we had to go through, not just the reading and the books and the financial mastery and the marketing mastery and the sales mastery, but just who I became in the process as a leader, as a manager, as a person, the emotional intelligence, the emotional resilience. Those were the lessons. And as somebody who is focused a lot on personal growth, not just business growth, I truly appreciated who my coach was, because she knew when it was important not to push me to do work on the business, but to look at my why, to look at my reason for being in business and what I want to really accomplish, and to look at my family time, to look at my balance and my wellness and how I'm enjoying or sharing with my team.
Right. Okay.
I have to celebrate. And so, yeah, I'm happy because of how holistic that coach and the whole opportunities have been for me.
Brilliant. Now, talk to me about, you mentioned fail fast as one of your.
Yeah.
Why fail fast? And give me an example where you failed fast and moved on.
Right. There's so many examples. I'm just trying to find a really good fit. But it's sometimes a small thing. It's the idea that, let's say I ordered something then and it was supposed to come frozen and it didn't arrive because there was a delay in the flight.
Right.
Costs thousands of dollars if it's really not utilized. And it should be frozen where it would have a shelf life of a year, but not it has 2 days. And I could have, looked at it as a loss, and that loss could prevent me from moving forward. I think I've had the ability to call up people and say, I have this thing, I have 48 hours, I'm going to do a 50% off, I'm going to do this, and still kind of maximize what I'm able to do with just 2 days, but also where I can't, to look at how to do it better next time. To look at making sure that this happened because these things weren't in place, or because of this that was out of my control, and how can I prevent that or going around that. So I'm always taking sort of the emotion out of it. Not the same, a loss is a loss, and you go through all the stages of grief and anger and depression. But it's going through quickly to the point of getting to, let's call it, acceptance and learning from it and moving forward. Because I think if you're going to move forward, it's understanding that you will fall on your face, and sometimes you're going to have to brush off and not spend too much time wallowing so that you can finish the race you started. If you're learning, there is going to be some failures, and you have to look at them as just opportunities. When they say sometimes you win and sometimes you learn, it's paying to learn, and you don't want to keep repeating the lessons. You want to grow from each learning. It's improving. So it's either you take it as a stumbling block or a stepping stone, but the idea is going through the process within a reasonable time and making amends and being accountable to making it better next time. I like failing fast because it allows you to get up quickly, brush off yourself, and say, I'm going to try again. And, I failed a lot. I've tried a lot of things that didn't work, and I've learned to master failing fast.
Good.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that, it doesn't always work according to plan, and it's important that we learn and grow from those lessons. And that failure doesn't mean that you are a failure. It means that the system didn't work.
Very good. Yeah.
If you have the growth mindset, then you will want to start again or try something differently.
Yes, definitely. And we always say, right, the only time you fail is when you lose is when you quit, right? As long as you keep going, you keep moving forward. All right, I want to ask you, back to your beginnings. What made you decide to get into this profession, and why?
Hardest question you've asked. I honestly felt like it was a calling, and it sounds like something difficult for me to explain or to distill into something. But as far as maybe when I was 2, I knew I wanted to do medicine. At the time, I thought I was going into research, and I chose to go the clinical route initially because I wanted to understand diseases from an anatomy, physiology point of view, not just a bedside point of view. But when I finished medicine, I didn't quite find a fit for me in a traditional sense. I figured I was really eclectic. And what I wanted to do was empower the body to heal and not just mechanize the body, let's say implants and so on. And, they all have a place. But deep in was trying to figure out how do we help people heal and optimize from a biological point of view. So bioregeneration really means biological repair. And I had the name long before I ventured or started studying regenerative medicine. And so initially I studied nutrition, and I wanted to understand how to optimize your nutrients so that you could get over an illness quickly. And then I moved into peptides in enhancing energy and vitamin and IV drips to just make people feel more vital, alive, and to allow the system to heal. Did a lot with anti-aging medicine, and I realized if we removed a lot of, let's call them hindrances, metals, chemicals, then the body healed much better. So although I came from a traditional point of view, I always wanted to help people to go back to a point where they reversed the disease where possible. So I was quite fine treating symptoms, but if I could reverse this, it would bring me personal satisfaction. So I always worked with looking at genetics, looking at toxicology, looking at nutrition, and looking at peptides to repair systems. And I think I really fell in love with stem cell, where I could repair joints and I could give, the opportunity to have a biological joint and free somebody from a medication that may be affecting their stomach or kidneys for 10, 15, 20 years. That brought a lot of satisfaction. I did a lot with reversing erectile dysfunction, especially the vascular types, with weight loss optimization and just helping people to reverse chronic illnesses where possible, or to just, optimize health, feel good, and longevity with the best that we can, and the best tools that we can. And so this need to constantly improve, continuous improvement, comes from this abundance of health and wellness, not just from following, but from creating new opportunities. Yeah, so we do a lot in regenerative medicine, in anti-aging medicine, functional medicine, but it really is coming from a place of helping patients to live longer, healthier life, just better life, quality of life. And whereas if you have the arthritis and you're suffering and you're at your wit's end and there's nothing apart from, the painkillers that maybe for somebody isn't working anymore, or the steroid shots that stop working. And if they're not yet at a place of let's say a replacement, what are the tools? And I was always looking at treating these set of refractory or niche patients with unmet medical needs that just, they weren't getting better with what we had available. So it was looking at supporting this particular set of people who I saw as almost malingering through the system. They were my passion to say, I'm going to get something to help you. I'm going to find that, and it's going to be healthy, and it's going to align with health and longevity. It's not going to be something that's going to rob you of your quality. So
that sounds good.
I have for that, it's for my medicine focus. I feel like I'm just stepping into my own purpose there. It feels less frictiony than doing business, so where it is, because it's such a passion for me to really, the craft is, the people are, and sometimes I can't help them, but I feel like I can love them, or I can care for them, or I can, just encourage them. And so helping patients with unmet medical needs feels to me like a calling, and I constantly learn and live in this zone, but it's driven by it's like a hunger to be
Right. Okay.
a repository for them.
No, that's brilliant. And can you share some of the most innovative solutions you have recently implemented?
Sure. I think So we have, let's say, with stem cells, we started off with platelets, then we were able to get stem cells from bone marrow, fat, or blood. And then we moved on to exosomes, which you didn't have to harvest from the patients, which are like concentrated growth factors for repair. So as we moved up the ladder, we got better at that. Then we have these peptides, and the peptides can, also be used in pain management. We have peptides to enhance sexuality, whether it's function, enjoyment. We have peptides to just give people energy, better sleep. And there are peptides that our own bodies make. Of course, they are synthesized commercially, but I think the ability to communicate to the cell the way it naturally recognizes and uses. We have low intensity shockwave therapy that we use to create new blood vessels for men who have vascular need in sexual function. If we look at our weight loss situations, we can measure now the body composition, and we can tell you if you're losing weight from muscle, from fat, because we have a pound value. And we can use whether it's peptides or nutrients to optimize weight loss from fat, preserving muscles, and we can use things to build muscle, which is going to build metabolic rate. And we can do breath analysis studies now, and we can look at your exercise zones. And so, well, Simac, you are going to burn in zone 2, which is where you burn fat.
Right.
Heart rate of 96 and 102. I want you to exercise at that heart rate for 45 minutes. Above and below that, you're just burning carbs. So we can with equipment and technology, get very personal. We can look at your genomics and say, boy, you can use all of the medications I've set this statin because you don't have the enzyme to break that down. And we don't have to guess which ones you can use. So between the genomics, the peptides, the breath analysis, the body composition, we go beyond the scale, we go beyond the protocols to really personalize it for patients. And I think those technology that are coming out are helping us to really do good by each person in a very scientific way. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how do you ensure that your services consistently meet and exceed your patients' expectations?
Well, we do survey patients, but we also have to look and audit our results. So if you're on a weight loss program, we want to look at what's happening with weight, but we're also looking at body composition, preserving metabolism, fat mass, and looking at your biochemical markers, cholesterol, blood sugar, inflammation. We also would do that if you're a pain management score. Let's say if it were the knees, we do an assessment before, beta MRI or a pain score, or a whole WOMAC score, which is let's call it a standardized assessment for pain. And we look back on your MRIs, on your assessment tools, and on your personal pain score, quality of life, and things that you're able to do. So if we find that something is 50% or around, we may say, what else is there that can get us to 75? And that's our goal. Because we believe that placebo alone will give 30%. So to get 3/4 of your patients the results they need, it takes looking at the standard of care, seeing how we can support their nutrition, support the repair process, and auditing. So we have to, make sure that we review, follow up, test everything and see where opportunities are to improve. And a lot of it started with just one peptide and a scale before getting into metabolic breath analysis and body composition analyses and that sort of thing, because we saw that we couldn't tell, what was happening fully.
Right. Okay. And what advice would you give to other business owners like yourself to thrive in this industry?
To thrive in the industry, I think it's a passion for learning. You want to learn your craft, but you also, if you're going to do business, you have to learn business. If you're going to get better at business, you're going to have to practice and do the work and upskill and find the right coach, just like any elite athlete would do. It's really all about the right coach. It's about the right systems. It's understanding. But I think if you're hungry for knowledge, you stay on top of the information, the innovation, the learning, and it allows you to really stay relevant, because business is about being relevant too. So that would be it.
What are your top 3 non-negotiables across both life and business? And it can be anything.
I think one would be the core values. There are core values for me personally, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, and there are core values in the business. And I think those are negotiable. And when we take on new team members, we say, well, we know that you're skilled in this, but if you are not this, then you may not be a good fit. So the core values that we have for ourselves and the business. I think if you're in health and wellness, you want to be ahead of your patient. So you have to live the life, you have to walk the walk, you have to talk the talk. So if you're going to be coaching, you're going to need to be coached and coachable. So really experiencing what you sell and being able to share that too. So I think you have to be sort of a brand ambassador for what you're offering. You have to have strong core values. And I still think you really have to care about people. But it's not that you have to, but I think it makes it easier when you do and when you just want to improve continuously. So yeah, I would say my core values and just being a brand ambassador for what I want to see in the world and really being focused on the needs of others, I think are my non-negotiable, because it was my initial why. I created a business that was different, that was patient-centered, because it was a need that I saw that I wanted for myself. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And Lastly, how would your family and friends describe you, Dr. Janice?
Nice answer, Simac. I think I'm really family oriented and I'm very much a homebody. So I spend a lot of time, I guess, just at home. I don't necessarily go out as much as I should. So my friends feel a little bit more slighted than my family. And I do stay long hours, but then I have, non-negotiable family time. So I'm available and always open for family. And my husband and I are partners in the business. So it's really very close-knit family. I think my friends would say that I need to go out more. But it's just that I keep going out with family. But yeah, I think they would say I'm hardworking and sincere. I'm not, necessarily, what would you say, I'm not always I wouldn't describe myself as like a nice person, but I believe I'm a kind person because I can be very no nonsense and very clear cut. And, that doesn't always come across if I'm not aware that, I'm just task. So according to the discount task oriented. But yeah, I'm available for my friends and I usually, a lot of my friends are 20, 30 years. So I have very close-knit, small group of friends. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. Dr. Janice, it's great to have you on the show. That's a wrap for today. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. It was so good to share with you today, Simac. I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to share it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. Huge thanks to our amazing guest for their pouring their heart into sharing their journey. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share it, or hit that bell. But until next time, let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.